Yo, LA. Bam, represent. But I'm not nowhere near LA. I'm actually 1,100 miles away here in Seattle. Man, a lot has changed in the last 3 months. I made a YouTube video and I got a lot of catching up to do. So with that being said, I might have to break this video down into multiple parts. And if you want to watch them all, you can. If you don't, then I don't care, because I'm nobody. You know what I'm saying? I understand I'm nobody, but man, a lot has changed. I've done a lot of personal growing. I've grown a little financially. But with that being said, I just want to tell you guys that Intermodal in LA, man, I had to go. I just want to start out by saying to my fleet managers and my dispatchers that this is nothing personal towards them. On a personal level, they are very good people. I like them personally. But as far as on a business aspect, I wasn't getting back the same energy that I was giving to them. And I felt that, as far as doing work with them, I could no longer do that, because I got tired of explaining the different scenarios on why this load would not be possible to be completed, yada, yada, yada. And when you don't feel productive, and if you don't feel like you're any help, if you don't feel profitable, then, why am I here? Why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? So this is solely my experience. Everybody's experience might be different, and you won't know until you go try yourself. So go try it yourself, and then, your experience might be better or it might be worse. But Intermodal in LA had its good and it had its bad. Most of it was bad for me. It started off really good because I would start off at 3 a.m. in the morning, be home by 3 p.m. Still had time to, go work out, go see my brothers and my sisters, and, go see my mom, my dad, and, yada, yada, yada. I had a healthy balance between a work life and a personal life. As time went on and different people started to run the division, that kind of changed. And I understand that is the lifestyle of trucking. You know what I'm saying? You have to be committed to this career. It's just not a job. It's just not a career. It's a lifestyle change. But if you're promised to be home every single night, then I feel that there should always be some kind of clean, healthy balance between a personal life and a work life. So for the amount of let me break it down into sections. The first thing was the pay. You know what I'm saying? And eventually I'll get back around to the personal life thing. But the pay. The pay was not awful. I ain't going to say nothing too bad about the pay. Everybody's needs and everybody's wants are different. For my expenses at home, my living expenses and my goals, for the amount of money we're getting paid, it's just, I would not have ever reached my goal, because I refuse to live my life on autopilot, which means just working to pay your bills. I want to be able to pay my bills while also working toward reaching a goal. Life is too short to just be living the standards, living autopilot, basically. So, for my goals, my expenses, yada, 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 the amount of income I was making just wasn't going to work for me. And also underpay was the understanding of how you're getting paid. Now, when you're doing OTR, you have a clear understanding of how you're getting paid. Company drivers get paid by the mile. The more miles you drive, of course, the more you're not getting paid more, but you make more. With a lease operator, you're getting 72% of the load. So you can have a clear understanding, okay, I'm not going to take this load, I'm going to take this load, it's going this far, how much fuel, yada, yada, yada. With Intermodal, there was no clear understanding on how we were getting paid. Nobody knew whether or not it was a flat rate, an hourly rate, or was it by load, because everybody that I asked had a different answer. And in an industry like this, it is very important to know how you're getting paid, because at the end of the day, we're all out here to make money. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much you just like the scenery or like to drive, at the end of the day, your purpose for being out here is to make money. Because if you work without a check, you're going to be upset. I'm rapping. So, that was one thing. Another thing was, when I first came Intermodal back in July, they said, okay, just go drop this truck off, come back, or drop your stuff off from your condo, come back, drop this truck off, you're going to start flatbed Intermodal, out in LA. If you want to do flatbed, we'll give you an extra $100 a week to do flatbed. Unfortunately, I never got around to being able to make it back in time for the flatbed class, so I just did reefer for the meantime. The last video I made for you guys was in October, and I said that I was going to Springfield, Missouri to do flatbed training, and I was going to go, do flatbed training and come home and do rail deck, flatbed, intermodal. That happened. I did get a flight from LAX to Missouri. I drove a day cab that they had out there at the yard from Missouri to Chicago. Did some training up there. Learned how to strap. That was basically it. Now, when I got back home to start that on my own, that $100 a week that I was promised was non-existent. And I'm not really going to get into detail with it because I'm not trying to air nobody out, but I didn't get that extra $100 a week. And I stand firm by that. Because if my checks from reefer are the same amount that I was getting, if my checks from flatbed was the same amount that I was getting from reefer, there was no raise there. It stayed the same. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to get into detail with that because the past is the past, whatever. Not feeling productive. Nobody controls traffic. LA traffic, y'all know, is crazy, especially during rush hour. It'll take you 3 hours to get 60 miles. And to have to constantly explain that every single day that this load cannot be done because by the time I get back to do it and finish it, I won't have no hours to get home. I won't have no hours to even get to the second load. And like I said, traffic is not controllable under anybody. But there could have been ways to work, around it, or to a point where you're not sitting in traffic for extensive periods of time. For example, I felt like the routing should have been a big circle. You start your day in San Bernardino, drop off somewhere in LA, pick up something from LA, deliver it in Rialto, drive home. But there were times where you would pick up in some crazy place, bring it back, go back and bring it back. And then by the time you're done with all of that, you're running low on hours. You know what I'm saying? And it looks bad on you, and I really started feeling guilty because I feel like, damn, every day there's something wrong. And I started feeling like, well, if I'm out here doing the job and they're just assigning me, then it must be something that I'm doing wrong. But then when I started talking to my coworkers and stuff like that, and they was having the same issues, I realized that it probably wasn't me, So that was one thing, not feeling productive. And, when I went to flatbed, I was sitting at shippers and receivers, waiting for them, getting there at my appointment time, and flatbeds weren't loaded. Things weren't loaded, and nobody ever knew what was going on. So, that was another thing, just sitting there. And then by the time it's time to start moving again, you still got to complete 2 loads after you sat for 4 hours, So that was that. I'm gonna make a part 2 really quick.